Yes, we have had a meeting with the President of Navajo Nation, which I would say historic. Today, November 4, 2004, is a day when we have talked about vision and strategy, not only of Navajo Nation, but Navajo Nation opening to the world. We have distinguished guests from Brazil and Ghana today, and we have exposed to the President of Navajo Nation the need to look at the world in a different way according to the 21st century. 1 year from now, we're going to have the World Summit on Information Society. 4 years ago, we had the Millennium Development Goals of the United Nations. All that is geared towards recognizing ICTs, information communication technology, as a tool for development. The Navajo model is now being heard as the model that actually gives force to all these ideas that were launched 4 years ago and that will be revised 1 year from now. So what we need to do is get the Navajo model that has proven to be successful to be extended to other countries. So we're going to begin with Ghana and Brazil and create the golden triangle of development, where these three countries, strategically placed in the center of the world, are going to extend the Navajo model to other places like Latin America through Brazil and Ghana towards Africa. So this is the beginning of a new vision become reality.
Within a very short time, I've got to know more about the Navajo as a nation, Navajo as a tribe, Navajo as a people, and the things that make you really flourish. I draw similar references between you as a nation and where I come from, on the Ashanti tribe, Ashanti Nation. What we've started here is the beginning of something that appears bigger than all of us put together. How do we use technology today? How do we use renewable energy today? How do we use resources that are available right here, resources that give us competitive advantage in order to create a livelihood that is satisfactory to our people, in order to fight poverty, squalor, ignorance, and illiteracy, and give good health care to our people. If we can do this, what we should understand is that in this generation, we can leapfrog. We need not invent new wheels. We can take these technologies and adapt them to our own condition and then move ahead. And I see that in the leadership that you have, President Joe Sherry Jr. And I hope he will visit Ghana. After my ambassador comes here, we will formulate programs. And I want to see him in Africa. I want to see him in Brazil for us to link this communication program that we're talking about, which gives the Latin American people a gateway through internet technology program, the Navajos a second gateway, and then Ghana or Africa a third gateway. My president would love to hear this because his vision is to make Ghana the hub of technology in the whole of Africa, and I think we have it for him. I like to be a part of it, and I hope to see it happen before my day comes. I'm really impressed with what I see, and I'm going to support this with prayers so that we realize our objectives and our vision. I thank the Navajo people. I'm proud to be here and to be part of what is happening. Thank you.
And always in my life, I thought that the Indians know more about signs than anyone. Say, today we were talking about using the mirror and getting sign with the mirror, so you could communicate with the mirror.
But I think that we need sign.
And my idea is, we are in the process of building up a new society. And build up a new society without the important part of the roots of ours and lose that ground, I think is dangerous. So my idea, my suggestion, is that if we can form with your team, under the experience that you have been implementing here, like using the wireless system, using satellite, getting people involved with the idea of communicating, themselves, getting yourself organized. We saw in this morning a group of people in Vaca, and they were discussing what were going to be the results of the use of the radio and the wireless communication. And I saw drawings there, and I saw young people and very old people. And that was very, very interesting, because it's difficult to put those two generations in the same spot to try to do the same language.
But the key thing that brought me to the Navajo land was a search for an answer that would use technology, working with renewable energy resources, to help the lesser served people to transform their way of life and make natural resources, culture, and modern communications, modern technology work to our benefit.
The Brazilians are self-sustained in terms of internal communication by internet. We have our own facilities. But, you know, Argentina is way south beyond Brazil. And Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo, Rio, are a major capital for the interest of businessmen. But if I send an email from Buenos Aires to Sao Paulo to Rio, the email must go up to Miami and go down to Rio or Sao Paulo. So that cost today is around $300 million per year. That doesn't pay for going to Miami because you do nothing in Miami.
What impressed me most is that many countries want to do something. Some have programs on paper, but here on your land, Your Excellency, I saw that you were doing it. That impressed me.
The position is now we need to have some kind of a service that will give us gateways directly inside of the continent. This is true. So if we have an arrangement that Thomas said, that if we have a gateway, a hub here, and another one in Africa, another one in Brazil, that could be arranging this system, this will be also a service area, very important one. And who knows, this will also represent another way of doing it on an international relationship, an important service for everybody in the area.
We've already started talking about the Navajo model. I want to stress on that. The Navajo model, that is a people who felt they were denied, who felt they have natural resources, they were lucky to have a leadership that was prepared to go beyond and say that the buck stops here. I want to see a change. And we saw that here, and it's happening. Back in Ghana, I'm happy to say that we have a head of state who went to the same school that I went to. We both are founding members of the ruling political party. We are both guided by the same vision that is born out of the hard-fought freedoms of many of our leaders who are past and gone. Some suffered imprisonment without trial. Some died in prison. But today, I guess if there's a way of communicating to them that the new light is shining, their bones will shake wherever they are. So what we are saying is that we see a coming into effect to bring into reality what you are doing within your land here, and using not only renewable energy resources, but communication, satellite communication to be precise, and to put all of us in a position to be able to do that.
Especially, we went to this space there where we went so many buildings there already construct empty. You have the fiber optic passing through east to west, exactly in that same spot. Hook in a satellite, use the fiber optic. That will be an answer for tomorrow. No? So I think that we have a very interesting opportunity in hand that paid the efforts to study and start discussions. I myself, looking for what is being done by Thomas, I think that we can also think about that, and who knows, invite our ambassador to visit your nation also with this idea, an alternative as a gateway to Miami, something that will be much more central, much more in the middle of the area of North America, guiding this relationship with South America.
Dave came up with this idea of a global triangle of satellite communications for the emerging markets, emerging nations. What do we mean when we talk about the Golden Triangle? We see a footing, a satellite footing, one in Brazil, which will cover the whole of the Latin American continent, subcontinent, then another footing right here on your land, which will cover the whole of the North American continent, and the third being in Ghana, which will cover the whole of Africa and many parts of Europe. We can talk about Southeast Asia later, but our concern is these three continents bringing the best there is in our tradition and making it work for us.
So I think that if you, with your agreement, we could start with Patrick to, in earnest, to start to do some work on it, and with the coordination of our efforts, the three nations find a way of doing it.
This whole program is really based not on technology. It's based on what you started a long time ago, which is the LGA. And what does it mean? It means that the people, you send power out to the people. But how can you send power out to the people if you don't have connection? How can you give them opportunity if you don't have connection? How can they manage themselves? And that goes back to this whole Local Governance Act. Now, right now the LGA is kind of lounging around and not doing some of the things it should. But what's going on behind the scenes is Ernest has been developing this computer system, because we now have the connectivity that allows all of the departments to build the assets of each chapter. And we actually were at Baca today. We happened to walk into Baca, and here was the local planning committee talking about how they were going to take advantage of this and use this to develop their assets, to do their real true community development, to get the funding that they needed, and using all of those things. Well, with the connectivity that's there, and it starts out with the model of putting connections out to an organization to allow them, a community, to allow them to become self-sustainable and allow them to plan for their own future. Well, with what community development, what Ernest's division of community development is, he's taken a whole other approach to it rather than the traditional way that CIO has been working for the last 13 or 14 years. And he's been getting fought all of the way. But because this is happening and occurring now, it's actually working, and all these new things are happening here, then now we can start opening these things up, telling the world about it. And again, the focus will be on, in all of these programs, when the Millennium Meeting comes up next year, we hope to have everything prepared so that you can actually present the Navajo, the Navajo program and setting leadership. And I think if we can continue these topics, the main point I wanted to have today is certainly to meet and make the presentation. We need to have you start meeting with the ambassadors and the leaders. They need to hear from you. And we need to keep you, our job is going to be to keep you up to date so you can speak to all of these issues as you need to speak to those issues. And so part of this meeting is to make sure that you have our commitment here to make sure that you're on top of all of the things that are happening, because they are happening very fast here.
I think all of us, your Navajo achievement, Brazil and Ghana should team up. And there we're going to put your nation on the global map. There usually is a day that will be set aside for the Navajo Nation. We raise your flag, the head of state will be there, and then hopefully we can get the king also to come from Kumasi. You will address the things that make you itch, that you want to scratch, and you will put forth, either pictorially or video-wise, what the Navajo people are doing. And we're suggesting you bring some of your handiwork, not just some, a good quantity that we will sell. Your jewelry. I can vouch that we can bring enough of your handicrafts at the exposition, sell them, make enough profit to offset whatever cost will be involved in taking you to Ghana and back.
The other thing is that Dave and Ernest Franklin here, who I don't know if you've met or not, but Ernest has had this dream for a long, long time, and he's been pushing it, and he's been developing it, and he's been drawing it, but nobody would ever listen to him. And he sits down at community development putting all of this stuff together, working with Dave, and nobody would listen. One thing Dave talked about was the last administration, they couldn't get him to open the doors, they wouldn't listen, they wouldn't talk, they wouldn't help, and the day you took office, he said it was just totally different. Doors were open, and you were willing to take all of these initiatives and